to the limit. The Office of Global Programs will assist students with campus resources, programming, immigration concerns, and cultural adjustment. We welcome you to UMass Boston, your home away from home.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Erica White. I am the Associate Director of the Office of Global Programs. And we welcome you early in the morning, late at night. Thank you for joining us for this special international session that we have prepared for you today. I do have some colleagues on the orientation as well. Does anyone want to introduce themselves? You know, Lori, I think I saw you, and Sean.
Hi, my name's George Schwartz. I'm an international student and scholar advisor at ISSS at UMass Boston.
Hi everyone, my name is Richard Trong. I'm an international student scholar advisor.
All right. And we also have Lori Larock, who is
Director of the Office of Global Programs, and welcome to UMass Boston.
And I believe Lori's joining us today too. So we are your immigration people, your international people at the university. So we welcome you. We have all the answers, hopefully, to your questions. We know immigration is a very hot topic right now. So we're hoping this presentation will give you kind of an overview of what to expect as an international student. What are some of the requirements that you have to fulfill? What are some of the documents that you need to make sure that you are in check with, as well as some updates on some federal regulations that we will help you kind of decipher what your next steps are. So if you can take a picture of the screen or a screenshot, this is your one-stop source to everything international. So we are the International Student and Scholar Services within the Office of Global Programs. The best way to reach us right now is email. You can call the phone. It will be forwarded to someone as well. And we also have a great website that has a bunch of e-forms, information, visa tips for interviews. And when we are on campus, we are right in the campus center, so the main hub at the university. So I'm just going to briefly go over your non-immigrant visa status. So as a F1 student, which most of you will be, you are what we consider non-immigrant visa status. Which means, right, you'll have to have your passport. Everyone will have a passport that is valid, okay? That tells us what country you're coming from. And it needs to be at least valid into 6 months into the future. So we want to make sure that you are all set with your traveling. Some of you might be traveling soon. Some of you might be traveling in the spring. So just make sure that your passport's always up to date. Okay. Passport is one of those documents that we ask you never to lose. We want you to keep those very safe along with all your immigration documents. But if you happen to need to extend it or replace, your country's embassy is the place to go. Okay. So this is what we call an I-94. So anyone coming into the country, and I believe there's some transfer students as well, you probably already have an I-94. This means that when you enter the US, the Border Patrol is going to, it's kind of like a stamp. It used to physically be a stamp, but now they register you on this I-94 to let us know that you're in the country, what date you've arrived. And you'll need to keep this information. So it is an online form you can register. So when you do enter the country, we'll ask for a copy of this. But if you're not traveling this semester, you don't have to worry about this, okay? There are several things that we look for on this. One, to make sure that your duration of status is all set, that you're here legally, and that you're entering on the right class of admission. So when you guys enter, all of your class of admission will actually say F1, which is really important. Okay. And this is our dear friend James Bond. This is his visa. So your visa to the US, your F1 visa, will look very similar to this. This is going to be something that's required for when you enter the US. If it expires while you're in the US, that's fine, but you do need it to get into the US. It doesn't say how long you can stay. There is an expiration date on these, but this is what we like to call the key to the US, right? Your key to enter, you can get in on your visa. Once it's here and expired, that's okay, but if you do leave the country and re-enter, you do need an updated visa. You know, we're very aware that some students aren't able to get visas right now because the embassies are still closed. So we'll go over what your options are after. But if you do have a visa and it's valid, then you can enter the US on that. Okay. So I'm not sure how many of you guys on this orientation have your I-20, but this is what our office will be issuing you. So if you haven't received your I-20 yet, feel free to email that ISSS email. So it's ISSS@umb.edu, and we'll help you get your I-20 all set up. So this is a very key document that always needs to be accurate and current. So you might get a few different I-20s while you study with us, depending if you want to work, if we want to do CPT or OPT, or if you need to extend your program or shorten your program. But these are really important documents. This tells us, you know, you're a UMass Boston student, what the program and degree is that you're entering, what the length of the program is, and your start dates, what the cost of the program is, funding sources, and dependents. So if you are bringing a spouse or a child of your own, we can also issue them their would be F2 documents. And then if there's any special notes, we'll put this on this document. So the Form I-20, you should bring that with you if you are entering the US. You will need that at Border Patrol. So when you get to the airport, you get off your plane, you'll want to present that to the officer as well as your F1 visa. So those two documents together are going to let you in with no problem. We do sign at the bottom of the document. We sign and we ask you to sign as well. So you should sign that document before you travel. If you are under the age of 18, make sure that one of your parents or your guardian signs as well. Okay. This is the page 2 of your I-20. This will be more important after you enter. So the first page is very important for the first time you enter and for your longevity at UMass Boston. And then the second page, if you do end up doing employment, you're going to see that you can see it says employment status and your start date, as well as your extensions. If you have a travel signature, so that means if you are in the US and you want to leave the US during your program, like if it's next summer and you want to go home, we just need to give it a travel signature to make it valid. So we'll give you constant reminders about this stuff. I don't expect everyone to remember all of this. I know you'll have a jam-packed day today of information, but these are good things to note that like the Form I-20 is very important and you want to keep it with you at all times. There is a third page as well. If you do have your I-20 already, we'll ask you to read this. So it says instructions to students. This is pretty important. So this is, you know, your guidelines when you sign this, you're understanding all of this. So please make some time to read your instructions to students on the page 3 of your I-20. Okay. So again, we just ask you to carry the I-20 when you're traveling. If you are traveling after you enter, we need to sign it. So Richard, George, Sean, Lori, myself are all what we call DSOs, designated school officials. So you'll hear that a lot. If you do need something validated for your immigration stance, one of your DSOs is going to assist you with that. Okay, so when we do sign your I-20, you're good to travel with that I-20 for the next 12 months, which is great. You don't have to come back to our office every time you travel. All right, and again, if you do have a dependent, they're going to need their own I-20 to travel, but we'll issue that for you, so you don't need to worry about that. Okay, I'll briefly go over employment. I know it's probably not the most pressing thing at the start of your time at UMass, but you know, once people get settled in and you have opportunities, you will probably want to be employed. So there are a couple things to note as an international student. You can work on campus part-time during the school semester, which is what we consider up to 20 hours per week. So that means if you want to work at like the bookstore, in a lab, in health services, in our office, you can work, but only up to 20 hours per week. Now, if your department has more work for you during the breaks, so we get a winter break, we get a spring break, we get 1 week in the spring semester, and your summer break, you can absolutely work full time when you're not studying. So you do have options to work, but you can't work, let's say, at the coffee shop in your neighborhood. So, but if it's a coffee shop at UMass Boston, you can. So those are just, you know, regular employments if you wanted a part-time job. And then we have what we call curricular practical training, which you'll hear a lot as CPT. So this is more in gear with your major, which is really important. Usually if you guys are first-year students, you won't be eligible in your first academic year, but your second academic year, and so we call it sophomore, junior, and senior years, you're more than welcome to apply for CPT. It just needs to be a position that is integral to your degree or your program. So if you're a marketing student and you find some kind of marketing job off campus and your advisor approves it, we can work with you to make sure that you can get employed by that agency, which is a great option for international students to gain experience, make some money. The caveat to that is that you do have to receive academic credit for it. So you will get, usually it's 1 to 3 credits in your department, and your advisor would sign off with that. And it would be kind of like a course and a job at the same time. So definitely something we encourage for you to look into. Again, you can't do it after your 1 academic year, but something you'll definitely want to gain experience throughout your time at UMass. And again, that DSO role, you'll apply through our office, and we're going to help you sign off on that and get you an updated I-20. The other option for employment is what we call OPT, optional practical training. So again, you can be eligible after 1 year of being in your academics. There are 2 types. There's pre-completion, and then there's post-completion. So most students will go through a post-completion OPT, which means that they've finished their academic program and then they apply for work after they're done with their degree. So this is a great addition of, you can get practical work experience after you're done in the United States legally. And that's something, again, that we will authorize in our office, but it actually goes through USCIS to be approved. So we will help you with your application to USCIS, and then the federal government will approve that, which usually isn't, it's not a problem, but it is a process. So you do have, options for employment as an international student. Grace period's really important as well. When you guys are done with your program, you do get 60 days. So that's 2 months. So don't worry that you're going to graduate and you need to be out of the US right away. You do have 60-day grace period. Or you can, like we said, apply for OPT, which will extend your stay up to a year. So that's a great option. Okay. So these are some of the things that are important now. So if you are a student entering the US, you definitely want to pay attention to maintaining your F1 status. Again, we'll have some students this semester, just with everything going on, that are going to study outside the US, which is fine. We will have to, we'll work with you on deferring your I-20. So we'll keep your F1 active. But if you are entering the US, we just want to give you these reminders that are so important to maintain that status. So the number one thing that we will let you know is you need to maintain full-time enrollment. So for undergraduates, that's 12 credits. You will meet with your advisor later today. In the US, 12 credits is roughly 4 classes. So in most cases, you're going to have 1 class equaling 3 credits. So you will have to maintain taking 4 classes to maintain your F1 status. Okay. The second one is temporarily, we don't need to worry about it right now because there are regulations that are letting students study online. You do need, if you are a new student coming in, you will be taking 1 in-person course, which is going to fulfill your requirements. But for this semester, you are allowed to take the 3 online courses as well. So there's a change in the regulation that's temporary due to COVID, so which is great. So you don't need to come to campus for 4 classes, but you will need to come to campus for 1 class. And again, your academic advisor will kind of go over that with you this afternoon. The third thing, it says make normal progress toward your degree. So that means, you should be enrolling in the classes that you need to get to your degree. If you're failing a bunch of your classes, should we say, if you're on academic suspension, things like that, and you're not progressing in your degree, that could make you in a tricky way with your F1 status, but we'll work with your advisor on that. So I hope no one gets into that, that situation. Keep your I-20 valid at all times. So again, like I was saying, like some people extend their program, some people shorten their program, some people change their degrees, right? You might get here, you might be a science major and then decide, well, I actually really want to be microbiology or something more specific. That's fine, but our office actually does need to know because it's listed on your I-20. So we want to make sure that we're always updating your I-20 and that the dates are always all set. Another thing, if you like to change anything, so anything on your I-20, so that first page I showed you, if you need to change anything on the I-20, let us know. We will tell you how to do it. We will work with you. If you feel like you need to drop classes, let us know anything. We'll help you. That's what Richard, George, Lori, myself, Sean, we're here for you. Again, anything international, and that's actually related to your classes, right? So if you're not in those 4 classes, we need to work with you as well as your academic advisor. The other important thing is that You have to, if you do change your address, you will need to let our office know, or once you guys are familiar with the Wiser system, which is our online system, you can change it yourself, or we're happy to change it for you as well. But you need to let us know if you change your address within 10 days of that change. And that happens a lot with international students, especially when you are here and you find someone you want to roommate with, or you don't want to be in housing anymore, whatever it is, just let us know and we're happy to work with you. And then again, the work component is always important to let our office know what's going on. For CPT and OPT, you have to let our office know because we have to give you an updated I-20. Okay, so this poor lady, she's very stressed out. If you fall out of status, okay, which we hope you never do, but if you are in a situation where you are under-enrolled, if you fail out, if you don't register with our office, things like that, there definitely are consequences to that. In today's world, our office is here to assure that everyone is compliant, but it's really up to you guys to make sure that you're staying compliant. So you could lose your eligibility for employment. You might not be able to get travel signatures. You might not be able to do an extension. And there's also a process if you do completely lose your I-20 and not physically lose it, but if you do something that you don't maintain status anymore, there is a process called reinstatement, which allows the government to approve you to get a new I-20 without leaving the US. But that's not something we want to go down the road of. So just remember that, we want you to maintain your active I-20, have it valid at all points. And if you ever have questions, let us know. We're happy to help. Okay. So this is our website. I'm not sure if anyone's been to it yet. Again, we'll send you out the link with some other information later on. But this is what we call UMass VIP, which was formerly known as iStart. So we actually use all e-forms. So if you ever have a request, you'll actually go to this website and click on the form that you want, and we will process it for you within 7 business days. So it's a really great system. You'll log in just like you log into all of your other UMass, your health portal, your Wiser, your email, same stuff. And this is a really nice way for our office to know that you need a request. Again, if you don't know what request you need, or if you need more guidance, just let us know. We'll point you in the right direction. But this is definitely a great website. So it's under Office of Global Programs in the ISSS. And it will lead you to all the e-forms that you need. So if you're traveling and you want a travel signature, you'll just click on this and we'll give you an updated I-20. So very easy. Sometimes people need a reprinted I-20, or if you're doing your CPT or OPT, that's in there as well. Okay. So here are some of the current CVIS updates. So first, CVIS is the Student Exchange Visitor Information System. So that is how we create your I-20. That's very important to our office. There have been regulation updates from Immigration and Customs Enforcement as well, which is the federal government. So basically our office, or our campus for this fall, is considered a hybrid campus. So we have a letter on our website, and again, we'll email all of these instructions to you. that you can download to bring with you to your visa appointment, or if you are traveling and want an extra document just reassuring that our campus is hybrid, that's fine, we can do that for you. But if you are going to a visa appointment, do not say that our campus is only online, okay? Because we are considered hybrid. And that goes with that class that you'll be taking in person, okay? That's really important. So if you are an initial student, okay, and you have a visa and you're coming in for the first time to the US, we'll issue you a letter, you'll have your I-20 and your visa, and you'll be all set to come in, but you will need that in-person course, okay? So when you meet with your advisor today, make sure that you get the one in-person course for the fall, okay? If you are a transfer student, okay, if you're a transfer student in the US right now, and you did not leave in between programs, you do not have to take that in-person course, but you're more than welcome to, okay? That's not limited just to initial students, but it is required for them and not the transfer students. However, if you're a transfer student who is out of the country, you will have to take the in-person course. So again, we'll email this all to you with the breakdown of what section you're in, but it's really important just to make note that we are a hybrid campus for the fall. We will also be having a, we like to call them coffee hours. So again, we're gonna do one, I believe it's Thursday. If you have more additional questions about this, we're happy to answer for you on Thursday as well. Okay. So again, if you are anyone with a visa, make sure you're registered for your classes. So we want to make sure that everyone's enrolled in 12 credits at least, right? You can take more if you want. And then we're going to have the one in person. If you are in the US, you will be completing what we call an immigration clearance. Sean, I'm not sure if you're still on, but Sean Morgan, who's the Executive Director of Global Programs, is going to be hosting an in-person immigration clearance on the first day of classes. So you will get to go to campus, come to our office, and do the check-in there. So that's where we'll need just to validate your documents, just do a personal check-in, okay? That's very important that you guys do that if you're in there. If you do not have a visa, we understand, but you can still sign up for classes. We encourage you to sign up for the full course load. You'll still maintain your academic trajectory, and you can actually study for more or less classes than the 12 because you're not going to be using your I-20 if you are out of the country, okay? If you would like, most people I believe are going to defer until the spring. So if you can't get a visa appointment within the next couple weeks, we'll defer you until the spring 2021, which just starts January 25th. So again, sign up for your classes. You can do everything online in your country, but we will also defer your I-20, so you don't have to pay again for the I-901 fee, or you don't have to reapply for an I-20. We're just gonna push the dates back, okay? And then we'll send you a new updated I-20. Let me see, 9 o'clock. Does anyone have questions about immigration before I move on? You guys can chat it too if that's easier. Okay. Feel free if you guys don't want to speak up, if you want to just chat some questions.
Hello, I have a question.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a transfer student. My visa is expire in this month, and like how to process it.
Yeah. You're staying in the country. You're in the U.S.
Yeah, I'm in the US.
Okay. So it's fine that your visa is going to expire. So
Okay.
just the next time, which country are you from?
I'm from China.
From China. So the next time you go back to China, you'll just get a new visa at the embassy there.
Okay.
Yeah, but
How about the question you say the at least one in-person class? What was that?
Yep. So if you're a transfer and you did not leave the country between your past program and this one, you don't need the on-campus class.
Okay.
Just for a clarification question, were you studying at another school this past spring?
You talk to me?
Yes, yes. Were you studying at another school or were you on OPT?
Oh no, I'm studying in Area Community College, and I'm transferred.
Okay, that's
to
yep, that's perfect then. Yep, so you'll be fine. Thank you.
Do I have to take in-person class in UMass Boston this semester?
No, if you were enrolled as a full-time student in March at another school, you won't have to take an in-person class. The in-person class requirement is for all new students who have not studied in the United States or who were on OPT and not enrolled in a course program in March of 2020.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So I'm not a transfer student and I'm in the US. That means I also will do it, right? I was in another school previously.
So you left before the transfer.
Yeah.
So you will have to take the in-person class.
Oh, wait, no, I'm in the US. So I graduated high school.
Okay.
And I'm currently still in the US.
Okay, then yeah, you don't need to take it.
Okay, great.
I know the federal regulations. We have to work with them. They might not make 100% sense, but we'll do our best to explain them to you guys. But yeah, I just wrote our email address in the chat function, so please email us with any questions. Again, you're going to start receiving emails from this email address. Please make sure you read all of them. There's definitely important information when we do get updates that will come from the ISSS email. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to just briefly go over some US things. I know some of you have already been here. Some of you have never been here, which is exciting. So I'll go over just a couple different things with you about being in the US. So one is banking. So there's definitely a ton of banks in the Boston area. Citizens, Cambridge Savings, TD Bank, Bank of America, Santander. So you don't need a social security number for any kind of checking account, but you should, when you do get to the US, open some type of a bank account to make things easier for you. So if you have any questions about banks, we can definitely help you with that as well. There is on campus when we're back, I think it's Bank of America has a bunch of ATMs on campus. So if you ever need to go to that, you're accessible on campus. There's also, let's see, another thing that's actually mandatory, which might be different in your country, is health insurance and health care. So in Massachusetts, in the state of Massachusetts, anyone studying full-time is required to have health insurance. So our school provides the health insurance for you. You'll have to sign up for it through the bursar's office. And it's going to come with a long packet of information. We definitely encourage you guys. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but we encourage you to look at what your health insurance covers. In the US, healthcare is very, very expensive. And if you do not have health insurance, I know we had a student that I think they broke their leg and they had to be transported in an ambulance, and they didn't have the health insurance, and it cost them thousands of dollars just for the ambulance ride alone. So you know, we want to make sure you're educated about health insurance and healthcare. When you do come to the US, you know, accidents do happen, but you also, if you're going to be here for 4 years, you might want to make sure you can go see a doctor or the dentist or whatever it might be while you're here. UMass Boston has an excellent healthcare facility on campus. So, you know, if you do need to go see someone, make an appointment, if you need to see a counselor, they have great options for you on campus as well. But in general in the US, we do have like private practices, which are like specialists. And, you know, if you're having an ear problem, you can go to the ear doctor. We have urgent care facilities. So if you need to see someone right away, we have a lot of urgent care. You'll see those around. And then there's like hospitals for real emergencies. So if someone, you know, breaks their leg or something bad happens, you'll go to the, we call it the ER, emergency room. So please look into your health insurance options. Again, this website will have it all covered for you. So transportation, I'm not sure how many of you have been in Boston before or where you plan on living. Transportation is a fun thing in Boston. This is what we call the T, which is short for train, which actually is the MBTA, which is basically the best way to transport around Boston. UMass Boston is right off of the red line, so they're all color-coded. Very easy to get to campus when you are here. They have monthly passes called the Charlie cards, so you can pay for a month. I think transportation services also might have a deal for students as well with the transportation. I'm not sure if anyone's been on campus yet or has looked at pictures. We are right on the ocean. We have a beautiful, beautiful, it's called the Harbor Walk. And you can get plenty of bikes on it. You can go for a bike ride. You can bring your own bike. It's very close to our dorms and Harbor Point and Peninsula, which if you haven't heard about, I'm sure you will hear about later today. Of course, you can rent a car. We have zip cars. You can buy a car. If you do have questions about this stuff, our office can help. Most students will usually just take the T when they're at UMass, but I know some students like to buy cars as well. But if you do buy a car, there are several things that go with it that can get pricey. So just educate yourself before you get to that point. Okay. In Massachusetts, we have what is called the RMV, Registry of Motor Vehicles. So if you want to apply for a driver's license or state ID, you can, but you will have to go through them. And please know the difference between, if you do get a car or rent a car, between your driver's license in your home country and a Massachusetts driver's license. So some of you will be able to temporarily drive with your international driver's license. but if you are getting a car, you'll probably want Massachusetts driver license. And again, that's called the RMV. So if anyone's interested in that, feel free to do some research. Okay, I think we still have some time. So just a couple of things about cultural adjustment. And I think, you know, we're very aware of what's going on in the world right now, and, you know, people traveling, it might be a very different experience to travel right now than it would be, you know, last year. So if you are entering the US for the first time, you know, during the pandemic and during your freshman year of college, you know, we want to make sure that you are well. And again, we have a great staff in our office to help support you with anything that you need. But just some basic things, you know, take care of your basic needs, what you need to do for yourself, you know, your housing, your groceries. If you have trouble with anything, you know, please come to our office, email me, call me, you know, we'll figure it out. We want to make sure that you are happy and healthy while you are here in the US and in Boston. Okay. And we want you to stay on top of your academics, right? Some of you might have not taken online courses before. So, you know, it might be just a different experience. You will have an academic advisor, someone specifically assigned to you, and please reach out to them and reach out to your professors, which might be a little bit different in your home country, but our professors much rather you talk to them and let them know if you're having problems or difficulties. They're going to be really supportive of you. Okay. And then we want you to develop a social support system. So again, it might be a very different time right now, but there's actually a lot of you students coming for the first time during this. So you already have a support system with your fellow students in this chat, with our office. But UMass also has a lot of clubs, like the Chinese Student Association. We have a K-pop club. We have, you know, every kind of club you could imagine, dance team. You know, we encourage you to participate in those, even if, you know, we're not fully on campus. It's definitely important to have that social support system. And again, just to reiterate, we are always here for you. Our office is open.